People deluded. Now, Arsenal beat Manchester United 2-0, and to be honest, the top four race is very competitive and it was very edgy. At first, it was three teams in United, Chelsea, and Arsenal competing for fourth. I was saying it, I thought Spurs nailed on for third because when everybody was fit, blowing through teams. When Kane got injured, still handling the business. So maybe this little wobble was to be expected from Spurs, and at their own, probably, I'm sure most Spurs fans will admit it's their own. They've drew themselves out. They are the reason they're now in this what I call top four race, because now we're a point behind them. Whether they still go on to do it or not, mathematically third and fourth are now up for grabs. So yeah, it's a tricky one. Obviously, Liverpool and City are doing their thing. I feel the relegation battle personally isn't being spoken about enough with Fulham, Cardiff. Cardiff might even just sneak out of it, and all of these sort of things. The race for the top four, we've got a lot relying on this. If we can get top four, then obviously in regards to money, in regards to just returning to the Champions League to participate in it, probably get beat 8-2 or 10-2 by Munich next year if we do it. Just on bragging rights, money, what it can do in terms of attracting players. And just because that simply was our objective to get into that, whether it was by the Europa League, via Europa League, winning that, or just coming from the top four. And we haven't done it for a while. You just want to finish as high as possible. I would love third. Put ourselves in a good position, people. It's going to be a tricky one. It's going to go down to the wire. Every week you're going to see United go ahead of Arsenal, Arsenal ahead of Spurs, Spurs ahead of United, Chelsea in there. You see what I'm saying, people? There's going to be a lot of rotation. And if we look at the fixtures, depending on how you look at it, we've got a very good chance. I say very good lightly because these are just games on paper. Yes, the one benefit that we have over Spurs, United and Chelsea, I believe, is that we've actually played all the top six already. So the one thing you're probably looking at is us away from home. I believe my maths isn't the best, but there's 15 points up for grabs away from home. Again, these fixtures, whether you believe they're easy or not, again, they might look a bit promising on paper, but you don't know what is going to happen in the Premier League on the day. You don't know in regards to injuries. You don't know whatever in it, because a couple of these sides are fighting down there, and this is the part of the season, where you see a lot of dodgy stuff happening. And we're now in almost the final furlong from March till May, or I like to say April till May. It's a straight line. You just need to simply win games. Like Ferguson said, squeaky bum time. But if we look at everybody's fixtures, I know Arsenal, apologies for the win, people. Arsenal, we've got Newcastle at home. At what date, I'm not too sure, but we've got to play Wolves away from home. We've got to go to Everton away from home. We've got to go to Watford, where we lost away from home last year. Leicester away from home, which is always a tricky one. Burnley, which is always, whether it's home or away, they always make us work for the points. Brighton, we should be winning that at home. I say should, and Newcastle as well, if I haven't said that already. We should be winning them 2 home games, to be fair with you. And that can't be. We've only got 2 home games left. That can never be right. I must have made an error. But you would feel promising, you would think, but if you look at it, Wolves have troubled everyone when they've travelled away from home. They gave United a hard time. They got a draw there. They drew against us. They drew against Chelsea at the Bridge. So they do their thing. Spurs and Wolves make you work for the points. They obviously, I swear they beat City earlier on in the season. Wolves are having a good season, so it's not going to be easy. They're going to make us work for it. So to assume that it's anything but a hard game would be silly. Leicester are going to make us work. Now, hopefully, Brendan Rodgers, they're not going to, by the time we play them, it's not a resurgent Leicester side and things, but they always make us work for the points. Watford, Troy Deeney, he's a savage. His son's an Arsenal fan, and he wants to make sure his son don't get top 4. His son's team don't get top 4. You know, Deeney's always smug in the post-match commentary after the games and stuff. He relishes playing against Arsenal. He considers us a soft touch, etc., etc. And to be fair, away from all of that, I feel Watford are having a good season, man. I'd love for them to get a top 10 finish. I feel Garcia's doing his thing. They're all doing their thing at Watford, so it's not going to be an easy game. Burnley are fighting to put their season on track, so they're going to make us work. You'd expect us to beat Brighton at home, but they beat us away, so we've got to respect them and street-smart strikers like Glenn Murray. Everton, that's probably... Do you know what, yeah? When the game comes, and you lot will probably bring this up, and I'll look silly, but out of all of these games, Everton's actually the one I'm the most confident about, and I can even see us going behind in that and then turning it around. Newcastle are fighting to stay up and stuff, and they're next and they're chasing 40 points. So these sort of teams there are going to have the bit between their teeth. If we look over at Spurs, like I said, they drew themselves out in it, and they're if they don't get top 4, it's actually their own fault because they were nailed on, in my opinion, for it. But they've got a couple of hard games. They've got to play Liverpool, they've got to play City as well. Hopefully both sides can do us a favour and beat them. We should have taken 2 extra points off Spurs, but we all know why we didn't. So yeah, they've got to play 2 members of the top 6. They've got Everton, they've got Huddersfield and Brighton. You'd expect to beat them. Bournemouth will run them to the wire in that Bournemouth always try, but Bournemouth defensively aren't the best, so I think Spurs would win that. The promising thing you're seeing is Spurs got to play 2 top 6 rivals again, which I said I'm sure most Spurs fans would take 4 points off playing City and Manchester City and Liverpool. But Spurs have shown they can do their thing in big games. But as an Arsenal fan, looking at that, we've got our top 6 games out the way. The only issue is away form for us, or winning these games away from home. Our rivals have to play top opposition again. Not that any game's easy in the Prem. So these are plus points. Spurs, if I was a Spurs fan, I'd still be confident about top 4. They just need to get back on track. And to be fair, like I said earlier, it was probably to be expected in hindsight, because you can't, in football's about balance. You can't have it all your way. I feel Spurs have been playing well from the start of the season. They've had wobbles, yes. They got through it when Kane wasn't injured, and now they're losing games. So you could say that, yeah, man, it was always going to happen, and things like that. Hopefully they don't, but they need to get back on track. Manchester United, resurgent Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, still competing in the FA Cup, still competing in the Champions League. Ironically, I don't want them to win the Champions League, and I hope they go out at the same time at the next possible date. But when you consider it without your emotions, is it a good thing that they're competing in more trophies? Because they have got a big squad, and he's shown he's not afraid to use the youth, and Greenwood and Gomez and Garner in some capacity, Chong as well, etc. in some capacity. But surely there's going to be a time where their squad's going to be stretched thin, and they're going to have to make a decision. I don't wish injuries on any players, but for all teams, injuries are a big thing. We don't know, even Newcastle, who's going to be available, people. So if you look at United, yeah, man, I think they should be confident, but they're going to have a tough decision. Does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, obviously he wants to return to the Champions League, that's the objective, qualifying, but from his point of view, if he was to win the FA Cup as the manager, first season, not even full season, it would be good for him. Obviously, they want to go as far as they can in the Champs, and the Champs is pretty crazy. Yeah, man, you don't know what could happen. Hope they don't do it, but you don't know what could happen. They're still competing for Champions League qualification, so they're competing on 3 fronts, and that's going to test the squad, and hopefully it does test that squad. But they've also got to play Chelsea and Manchester City. They've got Cardiff. You'd expect them to beat Cardiff, although Cardiff's one of them teams in this time of the season, you've got to be wary of them, us included, for them similar statures. Everton, why has everyone got to play Everton? That's deep, way. They've got to play Everton, they've got to play West Ham, they've got Wolves and Watford as well. So yeah, the one thing you're looking at is that they're still competing for multiple trophies or honours or objectives this season. They've still got 2 top 6 rivals to play. So again, this is in Arsenal's favour. I'm not suggesting Arsenal are going to get top 4 because of this, because it's not a guarantee. For the neutrals that don't support any of these teams that I'm talking about, it's great, but it's mad, man. There's 2 possible spots, and if I was Arsenal and I missed out, I'd be gutted. If I was a Chelsea, United, it's Chelsea, Liverpool, not Liverpool. But you get the point, in it, people. If I was one of the teams in Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Spurs competing for the it was 4th, but now possibly 3rd place, I'd be upset if I didn't get it, because it's actually within all of these clubs' hands getting top 4. If they don't get it, it's on the managers and it's on the players. They need to look closer to home. And to be honest, for all of these teams, if they don't get it, it's actually probably nothing to do with these fixtures. As an Arsenal fan, I look at games where we lost it against people like Palace. I look at games against Brighton, individual mistakes away from home. United, Spurs, we were unlucky, so I won't allow that. I'll allow that one. The approach and how we try to go about things against Liverpool at Anfield, and several other incidences where we've dropped points. Wolves as well, we rescued it, but we made it harder for ourselves at home. So things like that will be where you look at in May, and at the end of the day, the table won't lie. I've spoken about United. Chelsea have also got to play 2 top 6 rivals in Liverpool and United, which I've already said. They've got to play Everton, Cardiff, Leicester, Watford, Brighton, and I think there's a couple other fixtures. But yeah, if you was Chelsea, the way Chelsea are in, and they're so week to week, you don't know what they're going to do. 2 top 6 rivals. Hopefully Liverpool and United can do favours, but if I was Chelsea, I'd still be confident about top 4. I'd be confident if I was all of these teams, because it's within their hands, people, essentially. So yeah, 4 teams are essentially competing for 2 spots. We know Liverpool and City are nailed on. As for Spurs, Chelsea, United and Arsenal, 4th spot, now 3rd in my opinion, unless Spurs go on another run, are now up for grabs, and it's going to be an interesting one. I still don't think we're going to get it, people, because I haven't thought it since the start of the season. Of course, I'm more bullish. Of course, I'm more optimistic. Of course, I hope I'm wrong, and I want us to do it. And looking at this, because the other team's got to play top 6 rivals, you'd be inclined to think Arsenal got a favourable run of fixtures and stuff. But away games, we made things harder for ourselves. I just said Palace and Brighton, they're games you'd expect Arsenal to win. We didn't, and I'm sure there's other examples. You look at how we played against West Ham, for example. So the away form, and if you're any of the other teams, you're probably thinking, yeah, if we can galvanise ourselves, take points off our top 6 rivals. Arsenal are poor away from home. They will mess up. Now, admittedly, I don't have any of the other away records to hand of the other teams, but if I was them, I'd be looking at Arsenal's away run, be looking at the games and stuff like that. We also got to remember the Europa League if we're still in it, because we got to overturn the Rennes thing. There's reasons for all teams, I said both, but all teams to be confident, in my opinion anyways. But for now, people, I'm going to get out of here. People, deluded, comment, subscribe and do the rest if you wish. I'm out.